All right, it looks like we are ready to get started with Nick McLeod. First up will be Matt Freeman.
Hey, Nick, you had prior relationships with Houston Griffith and Troy Pride Jr. before you decided to come to Notre Dame. I guess, how do you kind of know those guys, and was there anything specific you needed to learn or hear from them just to make yourself comfortable with Notre Dame before, since you didn't get to visit at all?
Yeah, just like you said, well, just being recruited through a pandemic was kind of rough. So, just reaching out to those guys and those guys just giving me the comfort that I needed from a player standpoint was big, and making my decision comfortably to come to Notre Dame. So.
We'll move next to Tim Priester. Tim, I believe you're muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Good. Nick, could you give a brief explanation of how your relationship developed with Notre Dame after you entered the transfer portal?
Yeah, so I entered the portal, and I would say probably about probably a week to a week and a half. Got in contact with Coach Joseph, and then he explained to me the situation of them being in the looks for a new corners coach. But just developed a good relationship with Coach Joseph, and I mean, like I said, I didn't really visit anywhere at all due to the pandemic. But just that trust with Coach Joseph explaining the situation to me, and then also just my relationship with Troy and Houston, it definitely helped a lot making the decision a little easy for me. So.
We'll go next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Nick, in the first month or however many months or weeks the practice has been since you've gotten to work with Coach Mickens, what have been the biggest things you've taken away from him and the teaching points he tries to stress with you guys?
Biggest things that I've taken away from Coach Mickens is that you can tell that he's not that far removed from the game. So his tips and his coaching style is very modern to help me and my teammates just on how the game is being played now. So, and then also just his fire competitiveness, like every day, like he reminds me like a lot of myself. So like if I'm not ready to go, I know one thing's for sure is Coach Mickens is going to be ready to go. So just that edge that he brings every day is definitely beneficial to me and the group. So.
We'll next move to Carter Carls.
Hey, Nick. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. How would you assess how you played against Duke, and what kind of individual goals did you set for yourself for this season?
I think I played pretty well. Definitely could have did better. You know what I'm saying? The ultimate goal for anybody going into the game, I would hope, would be 0 catches allowed, 0 yards. So definitely things to improve on. But just being removed from the game a whole year, I feel like I did all right. But as far as individual goals, I feel like last year I set a lot of individual goals, and the season was just taken away from me. So this year I just try to focus on what I could do better on a daily basis rather than individual goals or awards or anything like that. So I just really been focused on what can I do better the next day, or what can I do better today. So
we'll next move to John Finneran.
Yeah, Nick, I wonder if you could tell me what you know about South Florida. Have you had any, have your paths crossed in the last couple of years?
Coach Jeff Scott, he coached at Clemson, so I was a coordinator there. So that's pretty much what I know about South Florida. I know they got a great coach, winning culture with Coach Scott coming from Clemson. So, and then of course they recruit Florida, so they're going to have a lot of speed on the field. So just that you can't overlook any opponent that you play. So we definitely got to come prepared to play this week.
We'll next move to Pete Sampson.
Hey, Nick. I want to follow up on a question I think Patrick asked about Mike Mickens, and you use the term modern in sort of describing him. Aside from just being kind of on the younger side, what does that mean? How is that valuable in a relationship? Is that just sort of stuff you can talk about off the field, music, whatever? Like, what does modern mean when you use it that way?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it really means everything to me. Like, we feel like we can go in and approach him about pretty much anything that's going on. He's very relatable to us, and just like you said, it's always like that relationship to where we can go to him about anything. But at the same time, he's definitely going to make sure that we're locked in when it's time to be locked in. So.
All right, we'll circle back to Tim Priester.
Nick, who or what led you to developing into a press coverage cornerback specialist? And secondly, do you know or are you aware of former Notre Dame running back and defensive back Jeff Burris from Rock Hill?
As far as the press technique, I feel like I just watched a lot of film from the time that I wanted to play football in the collegiate level, and so watching film, and me and Stephon Gilmore are like close as ever. So just having that relationship with him, being defensive player of the year, and the great press corner that he is, I can pretty much like if I got a question right now, I'm gonna go in the locker room. I can text him anything. He gonna hit me back right away. So just that relationship and just knowledge of the game is definitely beneficial to me becoming a good press corner and continue to become better. And me and Jeff Burris, we're really close. Like, and he as well. He answered some questions for me from a player standpoint that helped me feel comfortable with my decision to come to Notre Dame. So
We'll go back to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Nick, in the time since training camp has started, how do you guys feel as a group where you've been able to, grow or even just kind of assert a strength of being able to make plays on the ball and locate the ball as a corner unit as a whole?
can you repeat it the beginning one more time, please?
How do you feel about your guys' ability as a cornerback unit as a whole to be able to like make plays on the ball, get your hands on the ball like you were a bit on Saturday?
Yeah, like you said, that was. I mean, that's really the big emphasis. Like with Coach Mickens coming every day. Like, of course, we want to have great technique, we want to do our job, but at the end of the day, like the most important thing in football is the ball. So, just having that want to finish on the ball every play, like that's something that we definitely emphasize throughout camp and that we're still doing on a daily basis. So,
We'll go back to John Finneran.
No question.
All right, then we'll circle back to, well, does anybody else have a question? Please use the raise your hand function if you do. Any more questions? Oh, looks like we've got one more from Tim Priester.
Nick, there's a McLeod that plays for USF spelled the same way. Are you related to him in any way?
no, sir, not at all.
Okay, thank you.
All right, it looks like that's it. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
All right, we have Isaiah Foskey up next. Go ahead and use the raise your hand function if you have a question. Our first question is from Chuck Freeby.
Hey, Isaiah, I'm wondering where you believe that you've improved on your technique and your overall game since you came to Notre Dame.
I felt like I improved on using my hands a lot more. I've been working with Ade during this quarantine when we came back in the summer, me and him going back and forth on the field. So I've been getting a lot better with my hands and in pass rush. That's what me and Ade been focusing mostly on when we're back in the summer.
Our next question is from Pete Sampson.
Hey, Isaiah, I was curious if you could sort of take us back to your recruitment and the decision to come to Notre Dame in the first place. You decided at the very, very end on Notre Dame or close to the end. Like, what went into that process in terms of deciding late and then ultimately kind of what got Notre Dame over the top?
Like officially, I signed in the early signing period, but I just like announced it during February. My boy Henry told Toys at Tennessee now, but we already agreed that we're gonna announce on ESPN. So that was my decision why I waited until February to announce. But like Notre Dame is like basically just like De La Salle, just like on bigger like prospect. But that's what made me want to come here. If it's just like a translate from De La Salle.
Our next question is for Mike Berardino.
You're muted.
Mike, I believe you're on mute. Mike, are you there? I believe you're on mute. Okay, we'll circle back to Mike later. Our next question is from Tyler James.
Hey, Isaiah, how special was it for you to record your first career sack in the season opener last weekend?
Oh, at first I didn't even know it was a sack until I went to the sideline and reviewing it. But it was electric. It was fun to be out there and trying to make plays. Coach Lee and Coach Ellison put me in the right position to make plays. I was just doing my job, 1 of 11.
We'll move next to Mark Skoll.
Hi, Isaiah. Watching you over the last year and now this year, it seems like you kind of have a different mentality when you're out on the field. What is your mentality? And now that you're getting more playing time this year, how much of a difference do you think you can make on defense?
My mentality is just to fire off the ball, be explosive, and just use my hands a lot more. But that's the problem I had last year, not using my hands. And that's what I feel like what limited me from being on the playing field as much as I was. But me using my hands, being more explosive, is having the determination to get to the ball every play. That's what like my mindset is this season coming in.
We'll next move to Adam Darengowski.
Hey, Isaiah. Coach Kelly said that attention to detail was something that he wanted to see more of out of this defense. What are some of the details you guys are focusing on this week, and how much better can that make you guys moving forward?
Yeah, Coach Kelly always harpens on attention to detail. And he always says, what Coach Ellison always says, we're only 1 of 11. So whoever you just do your job and your job only, that'll set up, and you probably make the play. If you do your job, everyone else does their job. So you're only just 1 of 11. You don't have to make a play every single play.
We'll move next to Patrick Engel.
Yeah, so you guys played 11 guys on the defensive line across the board on Saturday. When you just look at practice and just kind of watch the guys next to you, what kind of talent and depth do you see that has allowed you to rotate in that many guys and that many guys have an impact?
Yeah, we have a lot of depth in like basically all the positions. We have people that played last year, people that redshirted just like me last year, and we have people that played in college atmosphere. So we have a lot of depth in that Viper, D tackle, nose, and position.
We'll next move to John Finneran.
Hi, Isaiah. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what you know about South Florida. Did you have a chance to watch some of their game the other night on TV? And do you have any, anybody on the team?
I don't know anyone on the team. I didn't watch their game last week, but we're just focused on South Florida this week and taking game by day or game by game. But yeah, we just watched a couple clips of them before practice, but that's about it.
We'll next move to Tim Priester.
Isaiah, last year, the block punt against Stanford, how surreal did that seem after making, pretty limited contributions up to that point of your first season?
Yeah, that play was a lot of fun. Like, it was like basically the turning point of the Stanford game. And it was just great to like get the team back into the motion, get the offense back, get the defense back into motion. It was just a great moment and like perfect timing for everything to just turn around. But it was great just to get that block punt and have Justin recover it, have everyone celebrate on the sideline, get everyone heartbeats back up. So it was just great.
We'll next move to Dillinson.
Isaiah, I was just wondering, obviously you had Julian and you had Khalid last year that went to the NFL. That's a lot of talent leaving. What do you guys have to do as defensive ends to be as good and productive as they were last year this season?
We just have to listen to coaches. That's exactly what Julian and Khalid and Jameer and all the people that left last year, that's exactly what they did, listen to the coaches. So that's exactly what we have to do now. But we still have Dale and Ade. They were here last year with coming back in 5th years. So we're not losing any momentum coming back this year.
We'll next move to Todd Burlage.
Isaiah, ultimately you had a lot of offers. What attracted you most to Notre Dame back in the day?
Like coming here to Notre Dame when I first visited, and like I said before, it was just like De La Salle, how the football team has a tradition and culture, how the school has a culture, and just the school being such a prestigious college, you can get the best of both worlds. Get to play at the top 10 football, top 25 football team in the country, and then still get an education. So you get the best of both worlds coming here.
We'll circle back to Chuck Freeby. Chuck, I believe you're muted.
I apologize. Isaiah, I wonder if you can tell me what it's like in those 2 or 3 steps once you've beaten the offensive lineman between then and laying the lumber to the quarterback, what that feeling is like, what that rush is like.
Like all I'm thinking when I pass the tackle or anybody is like Coach Lee, we have a turnover circuit that we work on. It's just trying to go for that ball. That's exactly, I'm looking at the ball, I'm looking at the guy. I'm just trying to go for the ball, trying to get a turnover for the ball or bat the ball down or get the ball up in the air so we get an interception for anybody can grab it. That's just me. I'm going straight for the ball. Like if I get the sack, but I'm trying to go for the ball, get a turnover, get us off the field.
We'll circle back to Mike Berardino. Mike, just checking one more time. Do you have a question? All right, we will move on to Pete Sampson.
Isaiah, you had mentioned sort of learning to use your hands a little bit. So I was curious if you could sort of expand on that. What does that actually mean, and where do you feel like you made the biggest jump? And is some of that just the fact that you were kind of more of a versatile athlete in high school, played a lot of tight end, purely focusing on defensive end was sort of a new thing?
Yeah, playing defensive end, like coming here playing defensive end it was a new thing because back in De La Salle, I was like focused on tight end until like towards like the end of the season, senior year. That's why I switched and wanted to play defensive end. But like me using my hands is mostly just me getting extension. Because that's what the problem I had last year is not getting extension or keeping the guys too close to me. And like what I said before, that's exactly what me and Ade, when we came back here in the summer, that's me and Ade were working on. Just trying to get extension, using our hands and pass rush, not trying to, when a guy punches, not trying to get their hands on us, like have them grab. So we're just working moves like that. So we're just working moves on each other, record each other, seeing what we did wrong, and then try and improve from there.
We'll next go to Carter Carls.
Isaiah, I remember talking with you in the recruiting process about moving from tight end, defensive end, and I seem to recall you saying that you hated playing tight end and that you really wanted to play defensive end all along. What kind of went into being a defensive end, switching to that position and playing that full time?
Like to me, tight end is pretty fun to play. Like when you're catching the ball, blocking, make a big block. But like defensive end, just for me, it just comes more natural. I feel like if you make a play on defense, it's like a lot more electric for like the fans, for the people on the sideline, more electric. If like get a sack, if you get a fumble, get them off the field. To me, that's like more electric than catching touchdown, even though it is pretty fun. You get all the glory and fame for catching a touchdown, but I feel like defense is a position I need to work on. But this position that I would like.
All right, and we'll wrap it up with Tyler James.
Isaiah, you made a couple of plays in the game where you were unblocked. I'm curious, when you kind of realize that no one's blocking you, do you kind of hesitate to not know, like, hey, why are they not blocking me? Or you just kind of go full steam ahead? And do you expect other teams to try that strategy against you?
No, I don't expect anyone to try that again, but with Coach Lee and Coach Elson, they put in me in the right position. They told me during practice throughout the whole week that one of the defensive ends is going to be unblocked on some of these plays, and I was just lucky to be the one that was being unblocked. They told us not to hesitate, just go straight for the beeline right to the quarterback. Be one of you guys going to be unblocked. They just made the right call for the situation, and it worked out.
All right, thank you very much, Isaiah. All right, we will continue on with Joe Wilkins Jr. And our first question is from Chuck Freeby.
Joe, you had to wait 2 years to get your first reception. What kept you motivated and what did you work on during that whole time?
I knew it was coming. You know, patience is a virtue. My mom always told me that. You know, I knew it was coming. I just had to be patient. Things I worked on, everything. Releases, my speed, flexibility. You know, I've been hurt last year. My hamstring's always giving me problems. So stretching, flexibilities, things I've worked on. Film, studying, defense coverages, rotation, stuff like that. A lot of things.
We'll next move to Adam Darengowski.
Hey, Joe, the offense was a little slow to get going against Duke, especially in the passing game. I'm curious what you guys have to do moving forward to avoid those slow starts.
I feel like we really never changed anything. A lot of people said we went into halftime and changed things. We didn't change anything. We kept the same thing. Maybe I think it was probably just certain looks. We didn't get the looks. Little miscues by, you know, offense is crazy. One person doesn't do their job, the play can't happen. So whether it be the offensive lineman, whether it be the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, one person just didn't do their job and the whole offense suffered because of it.
We'll next move to Andrew Mentok.
Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Awesome. So having the same name as your father, who you unfortunately never got to meet, is that something that kind of motivates you? Is something just kind of in your mind as you progress in your career, knowing that you're carrying on his legacy?
Oh yeah, for sure. My mom gave me that name because it was a blessing. She didn't even know she was gonna have a kid. So when my father passed, she was going through a lot, obviously, and a couple months later found out she was pregnant, and she just thought I was I am this extension of him. I'm the last piece of him left. So, and 100% without a doubt, my first son is going to be Joe Wilkins III. So that it's going to live on forever. Hopefully, and my son and his son will be the fourth, and we're going to keep it going. I love it.
We'll move next to Tim Priester.
Joe, you mentioned a hamstring, but you had several physical setbacks the last 2 years. What has your journey back to the field been like?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I kind of forgot about my knee. That was so unfortunate. I remember Coach, he told me, he's like, you're playing against Clemson in first practice. Goodness. It's been rough, you know. It sucks, you know, just being on the sideline, but you know, you just got to be patient. You know, cheering for my boys, Braden, Keys, Kev, everybody. Like, I feel like that made it that much sweeter too. You know, it made me, it's humbling. You know, it's not for everybody. You know, everybody has their own journey in life and in football and whatever path they go down. Everybody has their own journey, and this is my journey. quote, sometimes they feel like perfect timing is too late. Oh, I forgot the quote, but I just know that I'm fine. I'm not worried about it.
Our next question is from Pete Sampson.
Joe, when the media was out at practices the past years, I feel like we've sort of seen you flash and do some good things, or be first team, second team, and then, whether it be injuries or just not an opportunity. Was that difficult? And then I was also just curious, as for a receiver, is this a difficult offense to pick up, to master, if you're a younger wideout who hasn't played a lot?
Definitely a difficult offense. We got a lot of plays, a lot of different formations, the same play out of different formations. It's a lot to it. Coming in as a freshman, you're thrown this huge playbook and you got to know it. And it's rough. It's definitely rough learning the plays, but you get it. You get it. I feel like I'm very smart. That's been one of my biggest strengths. I'm not the biggest, not the fastest, not the strongest, but I'm a smart football player. So picking up plays has always been something that not easy, but not the hardest thing in the world for me. And that's kind of how I got to travel my freshman years, because I was known to plays. I did flash. I flashed. I make plays, but I'm smart, and I usually, most of the time, handle what I have to handle. I take care of my responsibility.
We'll move next to Tyler James.
Joe, when you came into the game on Saturday, you made an impact almost immediately. Why were you able to do that, and what's the challenge of sort of coming off the bench cold and being thrown out there right away and making plays?
Mental reps. Going into the game, I was taking 2 reps. So watching Ben, I'm literally just on the sideline. I didn't take my eyes off him at any period of time. I'm always watching him, listening to the play calls, looking at everything, looking at signals. I'm just studying mental reps. Coach applauded me in our meeting because one of the plays, I didn't take 1 rep at that play all week. But my mental reps, I'm always watching, I'm always paying attention. So when I got in the game, I know exactly what I was supposed to do.
We'll move next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Joe, in camp or in practice at all leading up to the game, how much time did you really get to spend, with the first team offense or with Ian catching passes in those, live scrimmage type situations?
Maybe 50-50. I split. We kind of like split them, like if somebody goes deep, if somebody scores a touchdown, you run in and you play. So it was probably 50-50. Like sometimes I'm with the 1, sometimes I'm with the 2s. I'm usually with the 2s, but if Ben needs a break, or if Ben went down for a couple days because his hamstring's tweaking him, or if he just needs a breather, I run in. So I got some reps, not as many as I would like, obviously, but I got some reps, not all of them.
We'll move next to John Finneran.
Yeah, Joe, I noticed you're from North Fort Myers, not far from Tampa. Wonder if you know if you were recruited by South Florida, and if you know of any players on that team who might have.
Yeah, so I was actually born in Tampa, and then I moved to Fort Myers or Cape Coral in 8th grade. So yeah, I was recruited. USF actually was my first offer. They offered me in my freshman year, so I was fortunate. I was recruited by them, but I heard they have a new staff, so I don't know if I was recruited by that staff, but I was definitely recruited by USF. And Darren Felix, he went to Fort Myers High School. He's a transfer from Oregon, the running back. That's my boy. I know him, and a walk-on running back, Sias, I think his name is. He's also from Fort Myers, went to Fort Myers High. So I know a couple guys. There might be a couple other people on the roster, but definitely from Florida. So I probably know some people.
We'll move next to Mark Skoll.
Joe, you've mentioned here in the last few minutes that you've been like waiting for that opportunity, and that you're always watching Ben Skoranek. You kind of got your eyes on the prize. Now that you've got this opportunity, now that you're seeing the field, what do you hope to accomplish?
Just help my team win games. No specific goals. I just want to win. I want to win. I want to help my team win. I want to just do whatever coaches tell me. I don't care. I don't care about catches. I don't care about reception yards, touchdowns, nothing. I just want to help my team win. I want to do whatever coach tells me to do.
And we'll wrap it up here with Angelo Di Carlo.
Joe, you obviously have put in you've kind of been smiling the whole time whenever talked about your journey. So can you put in perspective what this has been like to not only get that first catch, but get a bunch of opportunities, and how much you enjoyed Saturday as a whole from, what the last 2 years have been like?
Journey's definitely been a roller coaster with injuries and just seeing my class shine, Lauren shine, Braden shine. Everybody gets all the love, fame, glory, and this, that. But, I love it. I love being the underdog. I've always been the underdog. Like I said, I'm not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest, but I always handle what I need to handle. I always get the job done. And I feel like it just makes you stronger, like you have things, not obviously nobody had nothing handed to them, but they work for it. But when you feel like you can be out there, you feel like you can make the same plays, you feel like you can contribute, you can play, and you're not, whether it be for this reason or that reason, it's humbling. It's hard, but my life has been hard. My whole life's been hard. So it's nothing new to me. I'm used to being an underdog. I'm used to having to grind through it. I'm used to having to work twice as hard just to get the same thing as the next man. So no problems.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and we will finish up here with Liam Eichenberg. Our first question will be from Mark Skoll.
Liam, what's it like blocking for Kyron Williams?
It's great. He everything he does off the field's great. He works hard in the weight room, works hard in the foam room. Throughout camp, he's been very supportive of the offensive line. But at the same time, he's another back. And we're not going to block any different for anyone. So, it is nice seeing him run hard, and picking other teammates up.
We'll move next to Dylan Sin.
Hey, Liam. I was wondering, obviously the screen game was a big part of the offense on Saturday. I was wondering, what is it like as an offensive lineman blocking for that? And is that something you'd like to see your team utilize more often?
Yeah, that's one of the things we wanted to focus on this offseason is improving on the screen game. The past couple of years haven't been great for us. It's just one of those weird things that we just haven't been able to get down. But, this year's the year for us, and hopefully we incorporate it a lot more.
We'll move next to Todd Burlage.
Liam, I'm doing a story on your right side bookend there, Robert Hainsey. You guys have been together for a long time. What can you tell me about him, man?
Yeah, Rob, he's one of the most detailed people I've ever been around. Sorry. He's always on top of his stuff, regardless if it's football, academics, his social life. He's one of the people that push me to be great, push me to improve every single day. And, you know, it's just great having the opportunity to be teammates with him and at the same time, you know, be good friends. You know, I'm extremely happy that he came in around the same time that I did and that we've been able to improve, both of us, throughout these past couple of years together.
We'll move next to John Finneran.
Yeah, Liam, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the speed that you got with Williams and Tyree now, and how much that's going to help the offensive line this year. And if you would also go through the details of the 4th and inches run that turned into the touchdown by Tyree.
Yeah, you know, it's great having those backs. I mean, I think all of our backs are very quick and very explosive, but you know, I think they did a great job against Duke with, you know, pressing the outside zone, and, you know, kind of trusting us in specific runs. You know, I think they're both going to be great backs for us. You know, even, you know, Jafar Armstrong, he hasn't been taking as many reps, but I mean, he helped us a lot, you know, against Duke. You know, he had a great screen catch, and then, you know, he got to the 1 or 2 yard line. I'm not sure what it was, but you know, the running backs have improved a ton, and, you know, that's just a testament to Lance Taylor, Coach Taylor, what he's done. Yeah, I think it was 4th and inches. You know, I wasn't expecting the ball to bounce out like that, if I'm being honest. You know, it easily could have been holding on me, to be honest. But at the same time, I'm happy that, you know, he bounced it, and you know, we just got to clean up some technique stuff.
We'll go next to Anthony Totri.
Hey, Liam, what do you think separates this offensive line unit from some of the others in the country, some of the others in the conference?
You know, I would probably say it's probably the amount of years that we've played together. Even though we've played even though we've played a couple of seasons together, you know, we need to improve a lot, and you know, our technique needs to improve. Just us being aggressive needs to improve, and just overall communication. And I think it's just going back to the basics. You know, it happens in practice, and that'll just help us a lot.
We'll move next to Pete Sampson.
I'm curious, Coach Kelly mentioned sort of how the run game has evolved a little bit with Coach Reese calling the plays now. You know, a couple games sample size, I guess, but how is it different? And do you think any of those changes maybe helped things get on track on Saturday? It seemed like, you know, the run game sort of grew as the game went on. Yeah,
I would say one of the things that we really didn't do a good job in last year and previous years was kind of trusting outside zone. You know, that's one of the things that Coach Reese wants to run and we need to run to be an efficient offense. And also, you know, we've incorporated mid zone, which we haven't done in the past. We've always done just tight inside zone, and, you know, it's completely different. We run it completely different now. But, you know, running outside zone and having the back press it really gets the defense moving a lot more. And, you know, it's just Coach Reese, you know, he demands a lot from us. And I mean, it's good that he does that. And something with him is, I mean, he's going to stick to what he wants to do. So, I mean, even if it doesn't work the first couple of times, he's going to keep pounding it, because, I mean, it's bound to work eventually. You know, I mean, when it does work, then it opens up opportunities elsewhere, because now they have to cover that. They have to watch out for that. So, you know, us as an offensive line need to improve on outside zone. And, you know, that's one of the things that we're focusing on this week.
We'll go next to Chuck Freeby.
Liam, what's it like to have an offensive coordinator that is not all that much older than you, and in fact played here within the same decade? Does that make him more relatable? Does it sometimes make it seem like, hey, this guy shouldn't be yelling at me?
I guess more relatable in some sense, but at the same time, I mean, he's still our offensive coordinator, and I mean, he demands a lot, and I mean, he's gonna light a fire under you if you mess up. So, you know, Coach Reese does a great job with the quarterbacks and the offense. And no, I really don't think it matters that much, his age, because I mean, he's one of the best in the business. So
we'll move next to Andrew Mentok.
You and Sean Crawford go back at least to high school when you guys went to rival schools. Do you remember what it was like kind of playing against him back then? I know he moved around a lot from safety, corner, linebacker, even kick return. Do you remember game planning for him too in that aspect?
Yeah, you know, Sean was so fast in high school, and you know I just heard about how fast Sean Crawford was the whole entire time in high school, and I mean, you know, one of the games that sticks out to me is it was like I don't know if it was like the opening kickoff or maybe the second kickoff, and he just took it back for a touchdown. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a long day. But as you know, I don't like to say it, but you know, St. Ed's is a great football school. They're my rivals, and yeah, I knew who Sean was back in high school. He went to my rivals, so I mean, I really didn't talk to him much. We didn't really associate much, but since I got to Notre Dame, he's been a great friend and a great teammate.
We'll go next to Tim Priester.
Liam, following up on the blocking scheme talk, for a big physical experienced offensive line, does the inside zone, the mid zone, the outside zone, does that fit your line better, or is it a better fit for the running back personnel you have this year, or maybe it's a combination of both?
I think outside zone fits us very well. You know, we're a very athletic offensive line, and you know, at the same time, we do have a lot of power and we're big. But you know, we have a lot of good athletes on the offensive line. You know, Aaron Banks, he's a big boy, but I mean, he moves probably the best out of all of us. You know, Jared Patterson, he's a very athletic guy. So I mean, you know, outside zone and mid zone's good because I mean we get them moving. You know, and I mean, it's just one of those things that we haven't done in the past, and we're really focusing on this coming season and this year.
We'll move next to Angelo Di Carlo.
Liam, what was the mentality maybe just for you personally after those first couple drives where you guys just couldn't really do anything? Were you annoyed? Were you angry? Can you take us through that? And then also just overall how you would kind of grade the offensive line play throughout the game as you guys kind of seem to start to find your way? Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's kind of one of those things, you know, it's the first game. I hate to say it, but I mean, you know, you kind of it takes a couple drives to get up to game speed. You know, we definitely started off slow as an offense in the first couple drives in first quarter. But, you know, as the game went on, you know, we started to run the ball a lot better. You know, we started to attack our targets a lot more. You know, one of the tough things is, you know, you practice something in practice and scout team, and then it shows up in a game, it's completely different. So, I mean, it's just one of those things you have to adjust to personnel and the players you're playing against. It's tough. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's tough, but I mean, at the same time, you know, we need to start quicker. We need to attack more, and we just need to focus on improving and going back to the basics.
All right. Thank you very much, Liam, for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Leave.